Glad to see everybody thawed out.
And
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. I'm Angela Atkinson-Duina. I'm an assistant professor in the Ed Leadership program at USM. I also have my colleague Anita Stewart McCafferty here, I see with me. But today our guest of honor is Holly Blair. And Holly has been a teacher, a principal, and is the current executive director of the Maine Principals Association. We also have the honor of having Holly as a member of our Ed Leadership Advisory team. And she offers a great perspective on that around what educational leaders need from around the state. So we really appreciate her service with us on that team. I also want to say every time I have mentioned this event to people, people have been like, oh, I want to come to that. I want to hear what she has to say about that. And I feel like the timing couldn't be better because it's a time, I think, when we all need to be reminded of really the value and the impact that teachers have on our lives. And so anyway, I think we'll have a really interesting talk with Holly, and I'm really thankful for her giving her time with us this evening.
Thank you very much. What a nice welcome. And again, it's nice to see so many familiar faces. This is wonderful. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, let's see. And I'm sorry for this. I had to grab a different computer. So there we go. Let's see. Is this letting me, can you see it yet? There we go. Okay. Perfect. Now let me shrink that and we will go ahead and get started. Again, thank you very much. My name is Holly Blair, and I am the executive director of the Maine Principals Association, and I am beyond thrilled to join all of you today to talk about a book that I co-wrote with Dr. Rick Jetter called You Were Number One, The Science and Reasons Behind Why We Remember Some of Our Teachers Forever. And I had to put his picture here too, because although he wasn't able to join us today, he is definitely here in spirit, and he wishes you all well. He lives out in Buffalo, New York, so he's still trying to get shoveled out from his mess in New York. But Rick is also an acting principal out in New York, as well as he's written 13 books, plus he has his own publishing company. So he's a pretty busy guy. And just to kind of give you a little bit of background behind this, Rick was actually a keynote speaker for the Principal Association a few years back prior to COVID. And he and I were chatting about our dissertations, and we realized that he and I had a lot of similarities. And so we were just talking about what motivated us as teachers. And then we started talking about, well, you know what? I had this really amazing teacher, and it was like all of our favorite teachers just bounced right to our front of our minds when we started talking about them. And then we also were focusing on, you know what? We had some pretty awful ones too. They were number one, great, and number one, not so great. And then we said, why is that? Why is it we remember the best and the not so great teachers? Now, we've had hundreds of teachers in between, right? And if you think about it a little bit, some of them come to mind, which is fantastic. However, not all of them do. So we decided that we would write a book about, or actually we started off saying, let's do some research and figure out why is it that the brain remembers some of these teachers more than others for either good or not so good. So although we are on Zoom, I do want this to be as interactive as it possibly can. So there's going to be times throughout the presentation that I'm going to ask you either to use the chat Or maybe if you have some paper, you are going to be answering some questions and then reflecting on them and then coming back by the end of the presentation. So again, I want you to feel comfortable sharing in the chat. If you even want to unmute and share, you're totally welcome to do that. Otherwise, especially if you're watching this as it's being recorded, please feel free to write down some of your responses. Okay. So a little bit about me. This is me. These are my children, Ethan and Emily. Ethan is actually he's a teacher. He teaches physics and STEM at Falmouth High School. My daughter is graduating college from the University of she's going to Southern Maine Community College. Now she graduates and then she's going to the University of Southern Maine. So very excited. We have a house in Kikajo. That is my front yard, not necessarily right now, but in the summertime, you can see a beautiful lake. It's absolutely wonderful. My husband, Stacy, and I have been married for just over a year now. So this is kind of my world in a nutshell when I'm not writing and speaking and teaching. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to do it this way. All right, so most of you know me as someone as pretty positive. And however, so that's why I wanted to start off right now. We've had some teachers in the past, right? And I want you to think of them right now. And I want you to think, all right, so who are some of your great teachers and who are some of the ones that were not really good? Now, I obviously do not want names in the chat, please. However, just think about them. And then start thinking about some of the characteristics that they might have had. So this book, again, focuses on not only the great, sometimes the not so great, but the majority of today, we're going to be focusing in on the positive. The most important thing that I want you to take away from this is that some of the topics that I'm going to be talking about are not going to be overly surprising, but it's more the why. Because when people understand the why, they're more likely to put into action what needs to take place in order to create a really great learning environment for your students, regardless of how old they are. So I'm going to start off with my own personal favorite teacher, Mrs. Gail Seitzma. Mrs. Seitzma was my 5th grade teacher, and she was outstanding. As a matter of fact, it's because of Mrs. Seitzma that I went into teaching. She was loving. She was fun. She was funny. She made me laugh every single day. And even though there were probably 25 other people in my classroom, she made me feel like I was the most important student. And just my presence made her whole day better. But she didn't do that for just me. She did that for everyone. But because of who she is and because of what she did, and most importantly, how she made me feel, actually made an imprint on my brain. So from now until forever, when someone says, tell me the name of your favorite teacher, I'm always going to tell you it was Mrs. Seitzma. So now this is one of those times where I want you to either write in the chat or write down on a piece of paper, not only who was your favorite teacher of all time, but why. I'm going to give you a moment to list what were some of the characteristics, what made that person a favorite teacher. Now, mind you, teacher doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's in the classroom, right? This could be a coach. It could be a leader of some sort. Who is your favorite teacher? It could be a parent, a guardian. Who is your favorite teacher? And then list some of the characteristics that made that person memorable. And what I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, if you'd like, just put some of those characteristics in the chat. Let's start a running list, or what are some of those characteristics? I'm going to read some of them out. Angela, could you help me? It's not letting me open up chat from where I am.
Okay, how can I help, Holly?
If you could read just some of the answers.
Just read some of them? Sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. Miss Malley, high school science, funny, always had great anecdotes for the biology topics we were learning, pushed us, humorous. Miss Preventure, motherly, kind. Another one, showed great love. That was mine. Judy Reed, 5th grade, funny, Creative, loving, engaging, created a community of learners. Another one, knowledgeable. Another one, talk to us, not at us or over us. Another one, compassionate and caring for outside family factors going on, supportive and attentive to interests. Another one, Miss Stacy, grade 1, made me feel loved. She was patient. Making mistakes was a way to learn. Another teacher expected a lot from me and was strict but caring. They gave us breaks to play games. Mr. Lumen, high school, creative writing. He went out of his way to create a specially designed independent study for me because he knew how much I loved creative writing. High expectations, but worked with me to reach those expectations. Ed Brzee, knowledgeable, challenging, funny. Paul Griffin, Bates history teacher, funny, smart, empathetic, challenged students, open to ideas. Made me feel important and seen. Lisa Holt, first grade teacher and co-teacher, 30 years later, creative, loving, just made the day feel happy and carefree even after all those years. My favorite teacher was my kindergarten teacher. She left all purple jelly beans in my Easter basket. Black, kind, I'm thinking of the black jelly beans that I would like right now, actually, but kind, caring, thoughtful, and found something special about every child.
That is fantastic. And so, I'm sure the list could keep going and going and going. But what you're going to find is that when Rick and I did the research and we surveyed hundreds of people from all over the world, we were able to put these people into very specific categories, many of which you just named. But I want you to keep that person in your mind as we go through this presentation. And this is why, because it doesn't matter how far along you are into your profession, and it doesn't matter what your title is, just remembering the impact that you have on every student that you have in front of you every single day. You have an incredible power. You have an incredible power to make an imprint on the brain of every single person. It doesn't matter if they are 2 months old, if it doesn't matter if they were post-grad. You have that opportunity to make that imprint, good or not so good. So let's get into why. So the effects on the brain, very much in a nutshell, senses. Your senses are going to start creating the hormones, right? Either it's that you're going to see, you're going to hear, you're going to feel, you're going to use all of your senses, and those senses are going to create emotions. They might be good emotions, they might be stressed emotions, but they're going to create emotions. Those emotions then trigger your hormones in your body, and those hormones were actually that is what is going to make the memories stick, the good, the not so good. So if looking at this representation of the human brain, and again, I'm not going to get too stuck on the details and the neuroscience of this, but it's really important to understand the why, right? So you have the human brain. In a human brain that is in a good space, it's not stressed, it hasn't experienced a lot of trauma. I mean, we've all experienced some trauma, especially the past few years, but not a significant amount. So then you've got the human brain. You're open to learning. This is where language, ideas, concepts, visions, this is the artistic part of your brain. You are open to learning. Then you go one more part down, okay? And this is your mammalian brain. This is where your feelings, your emotions go. So when you start to experience some trauma, then the human brain starts to shut down a little bit because it really needs to put that focus, that energy into the mammalian brain. And that's where some of your kiddos, if you ever notice, they start getting really emotional, right? And it's really hard to teach that emotional kid, right? It's because that outside of the brain has started to shut down. It's almost like it's shutting down in on itself for protection. Then when you have a child or a student or a person for that matter, who's experienced a significant amount of trauma, their brain is on survival mode. That's the reptilian brain. This is the part that takes over when you don't have to think about it, right? This is like you're breathing, you're blinking. This is all automatic, but this is your instinct. This is your survival mode. So when you've got a kid or person, and forgive me if you are in a position where you teach adults, and I say kid, forgive me, I mean all respect. But if you are going to, if you're going to teach a person who's experienced a significant amount of trauma, they're in instinctual mode. That's where they are. And unless you start to work with that part of the brain, you're not going to get to the feelings of the emotions, right? You're not going to be able to then open their mind up to experiencing the new learning. So that's why when we work with ACEs, that's pretty significant. And we're going to get to the ACEs in just a moment. So knowing that, knowing the why, right? So this is where the imprint starts coming in. And again, one of the things that we noticed, and these are in no particular order, but when we started chunking all of the feedback and the research that we put into place, one of the first areas that we noticed was on caring. Now, there was a study done. It was done primarily on nurses, to be completely honest with you. It was the Watson Caring Science Institute study. And they studied a bunch of nurses, and they were talking about transpersonal caring. And we've all been told you either care or you don't, right? There's no faking it until you make it, which is one of the worst sayings ever, for the record. It's a terrible, terrible statement. If you ever say it, please don't, right? There's no faking it till you make it. And I'm going to put yourself into the Watson Caring Science Institute, right? And they're looking at these nurses. So when you've gone to the doctor, you know if that doctor or that nurse cares about you, right? You know, we call it bedside manner. You know, you have a really good experience or you have a really bad experience. Now, they might be really good at their job, but you know if they don't care about you. Teaching is the exact same way. Those teachers, and some of you said it, right? I know that they cared about me. I just knew. They didn't have to come out and say, you know, I really care about you today. They don't have to. You know it. You feel it. And the Watson Caring Institute actually did a study on a bunch of nurses, and it showed that the patients knew if the person really truly cared about them or not, because they made that impact, that imprint on their brain, because they care. And if you care, you connect. Case in point, if I said to you, what did you have for lunch last Tuesday? I have a hard time remembering what I had for lunch yesterday, right? The fact of the matter is, it wasn't memorable. I didn't really care about it, right? Now, unless it was something absolutely spectacular, or maybe you went to a really special place, or you were on vacation, or something memorable had to happen for you to care what you ate for lunch last Tuesday. Maybe it was a really bad experience. You might have gotten food poisoning. Guess what? You cared about it. You remembered it. Or it was absolutely spectacular. Most likely not. You don't really know, because you really didn't care about what you had for lunch last Tuesday. So therefore it didn't stick. Could really think about it. You could probably trace back and look at your calendar, but it didn't stand out. Caring has everything to do with that. So I have a question for you. How do you show, everyone who's on here is an educator of some sort. How do you show that you care for your students? So feel free to put some thoughts into the chat. How do you show that you care about your students? And Angela, if I could get you to read some of these for me too. I don't know why my chat's not opening up.
All right. Yeah, happy to do that. Be the official reader. Let's see. So write them personal cards. I work to get to know them and their interests outside of the classroom. I talk to them about non-school things. I make my classroom welcoming. I really notice them and acknowledge that. I tell them I love them, listen to their problems outside of school, leave nice comments and notes on their papers. I ask them questions and give them an opportunity to share about things they care about. I listen to them. I ask the questions about themselves, listen to their jokes and stories. When they ask if I love them, I remind them I love all my stories, or maybe students. I listen to them and take interest in them. I try to connect with non-academic interests. I ask them about their lives and share information with them about my life. I ask how they are doing. I give them chances to talk and share about life events. Knowing their name, hearing them, not just listening to them, try to find relatable things, compliments. I use constant praise, reassurance, one-on-one conversations, talk about things that are not school related, getting to know them, making sure they feel heard. Go to their concerts, ballet shows, horse shows, etc. Spend time at community events. I believe they can learn and help them believe it. I talk to them. I know about their interests, their family members. I welcome them. I make a classroom family.
Fantastic. Now, one of the reasons why I love having the ability for all of you to share what you do, it's because you do it. And you might hear something or see something that says, oh, you know what? I could try that. And then that's just one more thing to show your students you care. It's just something to think about, especially in times when we're coming. I mean, sometimes these days are hard, right? It's tough sometimes to go into the classroom and smile. But when you think about these things, you're like, oh gosh, you know what? I could do that. I could make that imprint on their brain. I will be that number one teacher. So fantastic. Those are all excellent, excellent ways to show that you care. Another area is nice. Now, some people might say, Holly, what do you mean? What is the difference between caring and nice? And this is my analogy that I use. Do you remember the show House? Okay, it was about that doctor. He's kind of ornery, not kind of, he was, right? Did he care about his patients? Of course he cared about his patients. If he didn't care about his patients, he wouldn't have his team staying around the clock, right? Trying to figure out what's wrong. How can we help them, right? Was he nice about it? Not necessarily. He didn't have the best bedside manner. Going back to that study that was done earlier, there are definite differences between each of these categories, even though they sometimes seem like they might meld together. Because they're nice. Now, why do I have a picture of Dolly Parton? I'll tell you why. Because you know what? I've never met Dolly Parton. I've never been to Dollywood. But you know what? I just look at her and I think, you know what? She's such a nice person. She just always has a smile on her face. I don't know her. I'm going to assume because I watch her Christmas movies, right? I read, I listen to her music. I listen to her stories about how she was brought up, and she's just a genuinely nice person. Students and teachers both have an innate expectation as to what school's going to be like. So, for example, if you've got a kiddo coming into school for the very first time in kindergarten, right? Most likely they are super excited. They can't wait to be there. They want to meet new friends. They want to see their teacher. They can't wait to learn, and they do all these wonderful things. But then sometimes you've got some kiddos whose parents maybe didn't have that great of an experience. Are those kids coming in quite as excited? No, they might not be, right? Because they've heard some things that aren't really good. They had an expectation. You had those bouncing in, right? They are super excited because they're going to learn, because they've been told they're going to make all these friends. They've got a positive thinking pattern going on, right? Now, fast forward a few years, and you might say they have a teacher who was not overly exciting. They weren't overly engaged. And I'm not saying that that happens all the time, but unfortunately, there are sometimes that does happen. So then that kid goes into school the next year. What is their most recent memory of school? Wasn't all that great. It might have been boring. They might have had a negative experience while they were at school. So they're coming in a different spot than those kids are coming in super excited and happy, right? Those are the ones that they're in the human brain. They're ready to learn. You've got these other ones who might be in that feeling area, which they're saying, you know what? I don't have a really great experience, or mom and dad really aren't talking all this great about school, or they're hearing this negative talk on the news. Seems to be going on right now. You know, they hear this, they take it in, and that's the memories that they're going into school with. And you all know that they have those building blocks that they go from, right? Brains are automatically designed to make a connection. So if they hear something is bad, they're going to then find that bad when they go into school. Now, whether or not that bad is there, their perception is that something bad is there. And that is what they're going to go towards. Now, are there things that you can do? Absolutely. This is what the book is about, right? It's about what can you do to kind of cut off that negative and reset and make them realize that school is a really good place and you are a really great person and you are going to help them and you're going to retrain their brain. Automatically by birth, unless there's something that happened in vitro, the brains are not stressed by nature, right? They come out, they're open, ready to learn. And unless something happens, they're rational, they're reasonable, and they're going to retain whatever information that you give them. And just simply being nice to these kids actually does make a difference. I told you before we were going to be getting into ACEs, and if you've ever had the opportunity to read any of Eric Rosen's material, I just think he's amazing. I've had him as a speaker. He's actually not an educator by trade. He's a psychologist, and he wrote a book, Don't Make the School the 11th ACE. Now, in looking through these 10 things, right, there are things on this list, and I don't have to read through them. You've got them right here. These are all ACEs. We know the more ACEs that a student has, the more likely they are to experience more trauma. Therefore, they're going to go further into that reptilian brain, making them less open to learning, right? So are there some things on this list that you have a direct impact on and can help them? So for example, what I tell my principals, I go to number 10, for example, a stressed staff, right? School can be a place of stress right now. I know this, right? So what can a principal do? What can an administrator do to help their staff so it's not as stressful for the staff? If the staff aren't as stressed, they're not going to be as stressed in front of the kiddos, and which is going to make it a better environment for their kids. You know, if you're a teacher and you've got a bunch of, stressed students, what can you do to help alleviate some of that stress? So in just looking at these, what are some things that you can do? And I want you to chat on this as well. Just real quick, what's something that you can do to help offset at least one of these ACEs?
Chat box is a little still right now.
Okay.
Up here they come. So maintain high expectations.
Mhm.
Always have clear expectations.
Mhm.
Consistency in the classroom. I stick with clear expectations and routines. Create positive relationships. Assume positive intent.
I love that.
Reach out to families for advice and to maintain communication. Don't make assumptions, learn triggers for students and try to avoid them. Consistent classroom routines.
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
yes. These are all spectacular responses, all spectacular responses. These are all things that you can do. And all the things that you just said, that you read to me, all of the comments that came in, they don't cost any money, right? That's the other thing. These are things that we have the power to do every single day. And although it may seem like an easy thing, well, okay, well, I'm going to do this. Sometimes it's hard to forget. Sometimes it's easy to forget some of these things, right? So the whole purpose of the book is to bring it back to the forefront. So you know what? I got to keep these things in mind because this is how I can help my kiddos be successful. Funny, I heard this was one of the characteristics listed earlier. Absolutely. Humor. That was one of the number one things that came through loud and clear. Their teachers were funny. All right. So besides the fact that the picture's kind of cute, I just want to share. Oh, I just want you to read this. To punish me for something I didn't do? Of course not. Whew, because I didn't do my homework. Okay, so for those of you who know me, know I like to crack myself up, but it's funny, right? You find the humor in things. Kids love that. People love that. When you walk into a room and you've got a person We're not talking the obnoxious funny, right? We're talking just keep it light, keep it funny, find the humor in different things. They are going to be just drawn to you because people want to be around happy people. So this is a challenge. And I say this to anytime I give this presentation, I do challenge you. Tell one joke in your school or in your classroom every day for a month and just see what the difference is in the atmosphere, right? Now, it could be you get a lot of, oh, I got that a lot. But you know what? The day I didn't tell a joke in my classroom, the kids went, what's wrong? Right? They couldn't figure out quite what, because they were used to that humor in the classroom. And especially, as well as I do, being an educator, that if you're able to make a connection, right, to whatever they're learning, and you make something funny out of whatever it is that they're learning, guess what? You've just made an imprint on their mind. They're going to not only remember that topic, but they're also probably going to remember the joke. So I challenge you, just try it and just see if there's a difference. And then tell me about it. They're exciting. They keep learning exciting, right? No one wants to be in front of, what was his name? Bueller, right? Ferris Bueller's teacher, Bueller, right? No one wants that. They keep it exciting. They keep learning alive. How do you do that? Teachers who make students come alive. And some of you said that earlier in the characteristics, right? That you were listing with your favorite people. Teachers who make students come alive when they come into the classroom. They're exciting because they make content come alive in their classroom. They're excited about what they teach. They're excited about what they teach. You got into teaching. You did not get into teaching for the paycheck. We know this, right? You are teaching a content that you thoroughly enjoy. Share that love with them. Share it, because even if they aren't necessarily as excited about the content as you, they're going to feed off of your energy, and it's going to make you memorable. And not just what they teach, but what they do. They're excited to be there. Their presence in your space, and you get to do what you love doing with these kids, that is going to make a world of difference for them, right? They're going to see you love what they do. Some of you may know Alex Caggiatani, some of you may not. I want to show you a real quick video. So Alex Caggiatani, he was California Teacher of the Year. He actually came in third for a National Teacher of the Year. And Alex's story, he was a middle school math teacher, and he was noticing, and we're talking in kind of a rough neighborhood in Southern California. And one of the things that he was noticing is that, he was trying to get the kids to learn the multiplication tables, and they just weren't learning it, right? They just weren't. However, there'd be a rap song come on the night before, and then they'd come to school the next day and they would know every single word. So Alex decided, well, you know what? Let me try rapping about math. So I want to show you a little video. He went home that night and he actually made himself a video. It's called the Itty Bitty Dot. Can you see this? I want to make sure you can see it.
Now, what in the world is that itty bitty dot? Yo, I just can't remember, and it's making me distraught. I saw it in the price of the item I just bought. It's the decimal point. Yeah, now you're getting high. When you add and subtract them, there must be a rule. So listen to my rhyme and use it as a tool. Just line up the dot and give it all you got. I said line up the dot and give it all you got. And when you take the difference, in other words, subtraction, just use the same rule and bring on the action. Just line up the dot and give it all you got. Come on, line up the dot and give it all you got. So turn off the TV, forget the radio station, because the itty bitty dot is a math sensation. Move it to the right and the number becomes greater, and the itty bitty dot needs no translator. Move it to the left and the number gets smaller. Yes, the itty bitty dot is an academic scholar. So don't forget the rule, which needs no revision, because the itty bitty dot is on a great big mission. Line up the dot, give it all you got. Line up the dot, give it all you got. And thus it concludes the decimal song with the rapping mathematician. You can't go wrong. Just line up the dot and give it all you got. I said line up the dot and give it all you got. Just line up the dot and give it all you got. Come on, line up the dot and give it all you got. Just line up the dot, give it all you got. I said line up the dot and give it all you got. Just line up the dot and give it all you got. Come on, line up the dot and give it all you got.
My particular favorite was. So while I'm bringing my presentation back, sorry, I'm struggling just a tiny bit here. There we go. So that's Alex Caggiatoni. Now, why did I share that with you? Because not to get that song stuck in your head, because it probably will. But the reality is that when his kiddos saw this video, of course, he saw a lot of eyeballs go white, right? Because they were like, oh gosh, this is awful. This is not our, but what he found was when he walked into lunch that day, the kids were singing Itty Bitty Dot and they got it. Well, then what happened because of that? Then the kids actually started helping him write the lyrics to the rap songs about his math class because he was loving what he did. And because of that, it was contagious. They caught on. Another characteristic, they're involved. Again, you nailed this at the beginning, saying those characteristics of your favorite teachers. They're involved. Now, before I go on with the presentation, what does it mean? What, in your words, in your mind, what does it mean to be involved? When you say you're an involved teacher, what does that look like? Use the chat.
So here's what we have. Can you? I'm hearing myself double. Participate in the school community, wanting to know about the kids and their lives on a personal level, active in the school beyond your classroom, show up at events, run clubs, etc., invested. I know my students' strengths and weaknesses and can customize learning for them. Hands-on, engaged, connected. I try to understand what motivates my students, attending sports events of student athletes, getting to know each student as an individual, teach to their interests, attend school dances. I can talk about current events that the students connect with, talk about their families, go to them at their seats to help them, go to them to talk between class and in the halls, go to their activities, answer questions, even if they're not academic. Keeping up with research on best practice, engaged in personal classroom and beyond the classroom interests.
Yes. I am so glad to hear that there were people who said about activities outside the classroom, because of course that's important, right? If you show up at somebody's game or play or an activity, that means a lot to the kids. Absolutely. But sometimes you can't, right? So what can you do to stay involved with them inside the classroom? And you said it. Number one, you show affection, right? And you show affection. By doing that, you're not triggering any negative responses, right? You're sensitive to their specific needs. You're showing empathy, right? But just by saying, you know, I don't necessarily know or understand whatever this is, but tell me about it. You know, I'm really interested in hearing more about this. Be available, just be there. You know, and one of you had said that, you know, I'll answer any questions that they might have, whether or not it's about the topic at hand, right? I want to ask about, tell me about how your game went last night. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it. Tell me about this. And just be available to listen to them, because you're going to find that some of those kids, and you know this because some of your students do come to you outside of learning time and they just want to talk. And sometimes that's all they need. And you show a commitment to their achievement, right? Not just to their outside academics or, interscholastic activities. You really genuinely care, and you show them that you are committed to student achievement. You have those high expectations. You're going to do whatever it possibly takes to help them be successful. Education and teaching also include teaching students how to make good choices, right? Turn those bad choices around, and just overall be good human beings. Now, some of you, I'm going to show you just a real quick video of Mr. Barry White Jr. Barry White Jr. Has a way of showing kids that he is involved every single day of school. And it might take a few minutes out of his day, just before every class. Absolutely. But let's look at Mr. White and his involvement. Oops.
Thing that's different about a Virgo vacation home, you always have the whole place to yourself. No stranger at the dinner table making things.
A lot of students come in with, situation at home that's not ideal. So therefore, when they come into school, I want this to be their sanctuary. I want them to be excited to come to school, because before I'm able to deliver a substantial amount of content to them, they have to buy into me. They have to invest in the teacher itself.
I don't know. You might be ready.
He's getting one.
But one thing that's going to stick with them forever is, how did Mr. White treat me when I was in this grade? It kind of draws them in, and once I have them in and have their trust, and they're invested in me, then I can deliver my content. See the academic side of it increase. So that's really why I do it, and to bring joy to them. I feel like every student needs a little bit of joy in their lives. It doesn't matter what it is. Every student. That's been one of the biggest things for me, like those messages from other educators. I'm talking about past at the 20, 50 years in the game. Oh my God, I had tears in my eyes. I can't wait to go to school. I'm gonna try this for my students. That was so amazing to me. I'm all about bringing joy to people's lives, man, and inspiring others to do so. So hopefully everybody can start doing it in their classroom, making it a big thing, worldwide thing, something cool.
So, not that you necessarily have to go and have a special handshake for every single one of the people that you come in contact with, but that's something that he did. Now, just thinking about it, by taking those few minutes every day, having that special handshake with each of his students, what is the return on investment when he gets in the classroom? They know that he's involved. They know that he cares. They know that he's fun, right? All of those things are making that imprint on the brain. They are the ones that are now going to be more open to whatever it is he's going to share with them. I understand. Now, how do people show that they understand? Right? There's different ways to show that they understand. First of all, they listen, right? They do. And then they can also identify. Maybe they don't have that absolute connection with that one person that they're trying to learn, whatever reason, right? Maybe that kid has experienced trauma. Maybe they haven't, maybe they're just not getting it, but they listen. Maybe there is some sort of connection. You know what? I know where you're coming from. When I grew up, I grew up on a self-sustaining farm, right? That's how I ate. If I wanted to eat, I had to go out into the garden, and then maybe I can make that connection with some of those kids. I understand what it means to not necessarily have snack every day. And sometimes if you can't do either of those, can you be flexible? Is that a possibility? Meaning, what is the ultimate outcome for your students? Is that they understand the content or they understand your way of learning the content? Right? So if you think about, maybe they're not necessarily understanding the way that I want them to, but they're still getting it, is that okay? Because if they're not necessarily following your path to the end product that they kind of already have, they're going to start shutting down, right? Because you need to be a little bit more flexible on meeting the kids where they are. Wise. Now, this is a fun one because we're all educators. Our job is to help people become smart, right? Or smarter. That is our job. But there's a definite difference between smart and wise. Smart and wise. Use the chat and tell me what you think the difference between smart and wise may be.
We have a couple good. Wise equals experience. Wise uses resources. Smart is just what they are, is what you're told. Smart is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wise is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. That's cute.
I like that.
Book smart versus real life smart. Or smart is having knowledge. Wise is using it well. Wise includes life experience. Smart is you have knowledge, while wise is you know how to use that knowledge. Wisdom is related to the authentic world. Wise is related to life experience, and wise people can read a room, know their audience. Smart people can read information.
Absolutely. Yes, you are exactly right. We have people up here who have wisdom, right? They're not just smart, they have wisdom. Because wise is not just smart, they are kind, they care, they become involved with you. And then what do? They do something with it. They are innovative. They're innovative. So people who are wise are innovative. And being wise encourages wisdom in others. So for example, dysregulated kids know for a fact what they're taught at home, right? Dysregulated kids. So if you've got a kid who comes from a dysregulated home, that's all they know. That's their norm. So then you put a dysregulated kid into a school setting. This is not normal for them, right? This is brand new. These are the kiddos that tend to act out. You know these ones. You don't even have to say their name. You already got a picture of a face in your mind, right? That's because they don't know necessarily how to do school. That's what we called it, right? They don't know how to do school. And sometimes being in that dysregulated area is actually more calming than now being put in a calm situation because the brain doesn't know how to connect with that. They don't know what to do. Whereas a student who comes from a regulated household goes into a school, they tend to do a little bit better. Why? Because the environments tend to be somewhat similar. Now, how does this change? What can you do? Because you are wise, you are kind, you are smart, you do have the knowledge, you do know how to be innovative to work with each of these individual students, right? You can start shifting how they think about school. You can create wisdom, that knowledge base to help them be successful. You have that ability. A teacher who is not seen, if you have a teacher that is not seen as nice or caring or understanding or approachable, are your students going to think that that person is wise? No, they're going to have a negative. That person has now made a negative imprint on the brain. So they got to have bits and pieces of all of these, right? They have to show all of these, and then that imprint will stick. And then you will have created wisdom in your future students. They're human, right? They show that they're human. What does it mean to be human? There was a time when teachers needed to be perfect, right? Teachers had to know all. They had to be all. They had to be perfect. But when you are in the midst of perfection, how easy is it to make a mistake? It's not, right? Because wait a minute, I'm not perfect. So it's okay to show them mistakes. You know this, right? You're teaching them that everyone has to overcome obstacles. There are going to be challenges. How do you overcome those? By being that model for your students, that actually makes a positive imprint on their brain, so that when they are then faced with a challenge or they are faced with an obstacle, they'll have the knowledge. They're not going to go into cortisol screech, this is not good, right? They're not going to have that. They're going to say, okay, wait a minute. I remember, if I have a challenge, this is how I can overcome it, right? These are the things I need to do, because you have the ability to teach them. It's okay to make those mistakes. And then instead of having that, like I said, that cortisol rush in and put up that block, it goes, okay, you know what? I've got some endorphins that are kicking in. I can overcome this, right? There's some healthy stress in there, and this is how I can do it. Devoted, showing them that they're devoted to the profession. Well, before I get going on this, how do you show your students that you're devoted to the profession? You chose this for a reason, right? How do you show your students, regardless of the age that you teach, how do you show that you are devoted to the profession to your students?
Here's what we've got.
Mhm.
Yeah. Show up. I let them know I love my job. Create lessons that they love and are excited about. I get excited for your own lessons, the material you're teaching. Remind them that you may get stressed sometimes, but that you love your job. I show them that I am still a student too. I ask questions. I share that I don't know things. Sometimes we look up vocally together, and we learn together. I root for their success, share my best resources and knowledge, provide feedback to assist their growth. I ask for their feedback. I show up every day unless I'm truly sick, and bring in constant new material. I do not duplicate year to year my art assignments. I'm enthusiastic about what I do. I make them feel included. I rarely take sick or professional days. We work together. I'm doing the work alongside them. I provide opportunities for my students to teach me. They see my passion and hear it in my voice. I show up every day, come each day with a smile, even when life may be crazy and I seem passionate. I visibly love my job and let them know regularly how lucky I am to be here with them. I spend countless hours commenting on their work so they have feedback to learn from their mistakes and revise their work. So it is something to be proud of.
That is spectacular. And I'm not even a little bit surprised that one question got more responses, right? Because you are here, you're actually working beyond your hours today to think about, okay, what can I do maybe a little bit differently, or put a little bit more energy into, or say, you know what, this is right. I want to do more of this, because you are devoted to the profession. As a matter of fact, this is you, right? You are devoted. And sometimes someone said it, sometimes it's hard when you've got a little extra weight on your shoulders, right? Sometimes it's a little harder to go in and keep that smile on your face. I get it. I know. But the fact is you do it, because if you're not going in there smiling, they're not going to smile back. You need to be the mirror for your students, right? If you want them to be happy, you need to show them that, I'm happy, I'm here. And you know what, there might be some yuck that goes on either in the personal life or maybe in the professional life, but keep it at the door. Pick it. Trust me, it'll be there when you get done at the end of the day, right? It's going to be there. But while you're there, you're devoted. You show up. I want to challenge each of you right now. And I say this to anyone who comes through any of my induction programs, the MPA. One of the things that I have them do is write down why you got into teaching. And I'm actually going to challenge all of you to do this very thing. Write down why you got into teaching. And then if you have the ability to laminate or keep it somewhere close to your desk, because on those days when you have those moments, and we all have them, right? When it's a little harder to love the job that you do actually love, read that. And this is why, because this is a note to yourself. So this is like you telling yourself, you know what, this is why we do what we do, because we love what we do. This is what we love about it. And it really does help. If you have the ability to mentor new teachers, please do so. And this isn't just this is where the copier is. This is, you really don't want to talk to this person, or please don't put up this bulletin board, because I don't like to put up bulletin boards. Mentor new teachers. Share your love of the profession with new educators. Unfortunately, the reality is right now, our profession is losing a lot of really great people. We need to keep them, right? So let's keep them. How do we do that? We mentor them. We share with them the love of the profession. Again, when you share these really good things, they're going to feel those really good things. When they feel those really good things, those endorphins, that's that imprint. Again, this doesn't matter with age, right? This doesn't actually even have anything to do with how malleable your brain is or how old you are. This happens with people from birth to death. It does. Make an imprint with others, mentor other people. Professional development, invest in professional development. I tell my administrators, I work with the Superintendents Association. You want your people to stay, invest in them. Professional development, keep their brains learning, keep them loving, keep them saying, oh my gosh, you know what? I really want to go and do this in my classroom. And it's not the latest and greatest. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying what is going to continue to charge your batteries to keep you loving the job, and then do it. Teacher leadership, share in the leadership. I share this with my principals all the time. You know what? There isn't one person that has all the answers. Collectively, you are amazing. You are each other's best resource. Live with each other, share with each other, learn from each other. If you do that and you lean on each other, the amount of leadership that's in any one building or any one department is absolutely tremendous. You do this, shows you are devoted to the profession. I have one more video that I want to share with you. And some of you have seen Mr. Jensen before, but I can't get enough of him. So I want to share this story with you. And then I'm going to strongly encourage each of you and actually challenge you to think, how can you, or how are you a Mr. Jensen? Although that looks fabulous.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old and I was in school and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen, focus, and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, hey, stop tapping. A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, Clint, you have to stop tapping. It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands. So I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, Clint, stay after class. And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me, and I will never forget it. So I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. He walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, Clint, come here. I want to talk to you. And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, no, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I had to ask you. He said, have you ever thought about playing the drums? And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, hey, Clint, you're not a problem. That moment on, I've never put those sticks. Or recorded, played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me. And he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
So in that one conversation that he had with Mr. Jensen,
Hey guys,
he
my
was
rich
expecting
stepmom.
he was expecting that to go pretty bad, right? That one conversation that he had with Mr. Jensen, he was expecting to be told he was a problem, that he was bad, that he was naughty. He was probably going to have to stay in at recess or detention or something like that. But instead of having that negative, because his brain told him, you know what, I'm going to get in trouble again, because that's what he knew. Mr. Jensen believed in him. That moment, instead of having that cortisol running through his limbic system, he had endorphins, he had serotonin, he had oxytocin going through his brain, going through his system. And all of a sudden it was okay. Just because of one moment with one teacher. At the very beginning of this, I had you write down the characteristics of your favorite teacher. What I want you to do now is think, what characteristics do you feel that you share with your number one? What are some of the things that we talked about today that you feel that you share with your number one teacher? Angela, what are some of the ones that are coming in?
We have got. I'm trying to, caring, involved, devoted, and funny. All the ones I mentioned: humor, anecdotes, holding clear and high expectations, laughing with my students. I am strict, but I share of myself and let the students know I care. Love of books, empathy, understanding, ability to connect with students in authentic and meaningful ways. We learn through our mistakes. Humor, compassion, connection, enthusiasm. I am patient, I adapt, I share my love of reading and writing. I hug them back. Humor and making sure all kids are successful somehow, albeit small or big. Being honest, loving, humor, creativity, caring. I believe in them. What a wonderful group of educators on tonight. Yes, I think so too.
I fully agree.
Kindness, caring, empathy, and expecting the best effort.
Yes. And the other thing that's really interesting about doing this, a lot of the characteristics, if not all of the characteristics that you listed about your number one teacher are most likely ones that you do share. And why is that? Because that person made such an imprint on your brain that you knew when you went into teaching, you knew what to do to be that number one for your students. So that doesn't surprise me. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So this is the book, You Are Number One, the science and reasons behind why we remember some of our teachers forever. It did hit number one. It was kind of neat. It hit number one new release in Prodigy as pedagogy, as well as in education. So that was kind of neat. It was published by EduMatch. And I do want to say thank you. Have a great year. And just remember one big thing. You have the power. You have the power to be that number one teacher for every single student. You have the ability to completely change the climate and culture of your classroom, of your school, of your department. You have that power. And I really do hope that you take me up on my challenge to write down why you got into teaching, why you love teaching, and remember that. And those days that it's a little more difficult, know that you've got this because this is why you do what you do. So just remember, you are number one. I'm going to open it up to any questions, but I'm going to leave my information here. Feel free to contact me at any time. I do have the MPA email address. I know a lot of you have that, but for the book, we usually do through the Gmail account. This is the Twitter, the Instagram, hashtag You Are Number One. So that being said, Angela, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up to any questions, comments, thoughts. I know that we're a little ahead of time, but that's okay too.
Thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate you joining us this evening. If you do have questions, you're welcome. Oh, we've got one question here. Do you have any classroom management strategies to share? This is from Courtney. I think that she may be a first-year teacher, if I remember correctly, from Julie.
Absolutely. What level?
7th grade.
7th grade. Well, first and foremost, one thing that I would do is figure out what are their interests, right? And then try to bring in those interests as much as humanly possible. You're not going to change it overnight, but you do have the ability to connect with each of those kids. And then if you make that connection, the likelihood that they're going to stay engaged is going to, it's just going to happen. The beautiful thing about middle school that I have found, because that's actually where my background started, was at the middle level, and then I went to the elementary before I eventually got to the high school. Was they want to be, they kind of want to be adults, but they're still kind of kids, right? So helping them create a pathway that is meaningful for them and they have input is going to help out tremendously. And if, they're acting up, having a conversation saying, listen, buddy, you know what? I'm noticing that you're kind of having a hard time. I want to help you. What can I do to help you? Right. And then have them have some input, one kid at a time, and you're going to see a big difference. And give them some responsibility. The beautiful thing about kids, you set the expectation, they actually will meet it. When people start lowering the bar of expectations, guess what? They're going to meet that bar. So, saying, you know what? You're super smart. And I know you're really good at this. Help me figure out a way to. I don't know if that helps, but that's, yeah. And actually, yes, ask for release time. Absolutely.
I have a question, Holly. How did you find time to write your book?
That's a great question. I'm actually on my third book. So 1 page a day, actually. Write a page a day. And if you think of a page as about 500 to 600 words, it's more challenging than I originally thought, but that's what eventually I did. When Rick and I decided we were going to do this, and I was like, okay, well, once we had our concept, the concept was easy, right? We mapped out the chapters. That part was easy. The research was easy, but I finally had to write 1 page a day, and then I had a book. And then in the next book that I'm a part of, I wrote a chapter for a book called the 100 Things Leaders Should Stop Doing, and that one was easier. Writing, for some reason, writing a full chapter was significantly easier than finding time to do a page a day. But for my third book, I'm going back to the page a day.
That's a great tip. Well, we have lots of thank yous in the, just so you know, since you can't read the chat, I don't know, but we have lots of thank yous. Thank you for lifting us up. Thank you. Lots of great ideas and inspiration. Thank you. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I can't wait to read this book. So we have lots of thank yous. And I'll pause here, just give some more wait time in case anybody has any other questions. Oh, I think we have Karen. Was that a question? Oh, no, just, okay. Just a wave. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, go ahead, Holly.
No. The only other thing I was just going to say is that the way that Rick and I designed the book, at the end of every chapter, we actually have reflection questions. So if you were able to do, read this with a colleague or two, you could actually create your own book study on it. If not, just take the opportunity to just kind of jot down some thoughts. It's a really great reflection tool.
That's great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you again, Holly. We really appreciate your time this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.